All right. Hello, hello, hello. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. I know we had a little chance to chit chat in the behind the scenes, but I just wondered if you wanted to start out and just tell us about a little synopsis about all your series. I can tell you about some of them, but I always think, let's hear it
Well,
from you.
you know, much to my previous agent's dismay, I like to write what pops into my head rather than just stick to the series that is doing the best, which is what the agents and publishers certainly want you to do. So I'm all over the board. I have, yeah. I have three cozy mystery series. The my first one and the most long running and seems to be the most beloved is the Scumble River mystery series. It is set in a fictional town in Illinois, uh, pretty much inspired by my hometown of Coal City and the surrounding area of Braidwood and Wilmington. And it features a school psychologist as a
Mhm.
sleuth. And the reason for that, of course, was that I was a school psychologist for 22 years. So, the first one, they always tell you, write what you know. And I certainly knew the ins and out of education.
I didn't know. That's interesting.
In fact, a lot of what happens to my characters in that book um, comes from my own experiences as a psychologist in the schools. Sadly, I never found a body and got to solve a mystery, but believe me, by the time I quit, I had 7 books out, and people were worried, that somebody was going to drop dead. So I think the school was relieved when I finally retired.
Did anybody think like they tried to connect the victims to like people within the school? Because that's what I would think. I'd be like, is that victim really supposed to be Heidi? Because
Yeah,
the gym teacher really was rude to Denise at the company Christmas party.
yeah. Well, I did use inspiration from my colleagues and the parents and the kids, but I tried to blur the lines enough that nobody could really say that they knew. Although a lot of people thought they were certain characters or were afraid they were certain characters.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably a company pool,
Yeah,
like they're all taking bets to
yeah.
see.
I know my principal, who I love dearly, wouldn't even read the books because he said he had heard that the principals were really jerks in the books and he was afraid he'd recognize himself. And I said, no, you won't. These are past principals, not current principals. So after that series, I wrote the first 5, 7 books of that series while I was still working. Then when I took an early retirement, my agent and my publisher both were, well, you can write another series now that you have more time. So that's how the Deborahs Dime Store series started. My hometown had the most fabulous dime store when I was growing up. And considering our town was less than 3,000 people, it was really the only place in town to get many, many items and the only place to hang out. I was there a lot because I don't even know what day it was, but I knew that when the new books would come in for the spinner. So I spent a lot of time in there.
Did they have a soda shop?
They did not. I wish they would have, but and I did put one in Deborahs dime store, but
Right.
no, it was a pretty large, sort of what the dollar stores are now, but a lot nicer stuff and more places to hang out, and the kids would hang out in there a lot. So
We had a pharmacy type of pharmacy slash
yeah,
mercantile general store that was a lot like that. And when you had the soda shop in there, that's exactly what I could picture in my mind. The little, because it was the same kind of way.
yeah, they really should have. Maybe they would have stayed in business longer. So that one currently has 7 books in it. That series had gone on hiatus for a while because the publisher didn't want to continue it. And I got so many messages and letters and Facebook posts that people who wanted to know what happened, that I decided I would self-publish the next book, which just came out last Thursday, the 8th. And it's called Fly Me to the Tomb. And so I continued that series. So far, people are really happy about that.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
And so that one's going on. Then when I changed publishers, they wanted, as well as the Scumble River series, which they picked up, they also wanted a new series. So I started the Chef to Go series. And that one's set in a fictionalized college town that's very much like Bloomington Normal in Illinois.
Yeah.
And the sleuth Danny Sloan, used to be in HR. She quit to open her own sort of a catering business. She does personal chef work. She caters. She has this lunch to go program for the college students. So she has a lot of ways to get involved in the community and in a mystery. And there's 3 books in that series. The newest one that just came out, I guess it's been several months now, Winner Cake All. So then I had other ideas that didn't fit into the cozy mystery exactly. So I wrote a paranormal cozy mystery called Forever
Charmed.
The Forever Charmed series. And so in that one is pure imagination. I have nothing, to hook that one to, except that I had a lot of friends in college who, were English majors and then, went on and got higher degrees and, ended up, not with jobs commensurate to their education. And that's how my heroine in that series sort of starts out in that book. And then she finds out a lot of secrets about herself and things that she didn't know and powers she didn't know she had. And the only thing, I guess the inspiration a little bit for that is I'm adopted. So I don't know really anything about my history because, back then everything was sealed. And I was adopted when I was 19 days old. So, if my mother ever knew anything, she never shared it. And by now she doesn't remember. So, for all I know, I have magical powers that I'm not aware of.
You never know. You never know when they're going to kick in. I really loved the first book. And you and I had to ask you about that, if there was going to be a sequel, because as of now there's one, and I love the title of it. A Call to Charms, right?
Yes, A Call to Charms. Yeah. I have all kind of titles for further books. I just don't have any books. But it is something, after I finish the project I'm currently working on, I will be starting the next one in that one.
That's awesome.
So for anyone who's read that, it ends with a little bit of a cliffhanger with her mom, and that's where we'll pick up with the next one.
Good. I said I'm going to ask you about it again, but I have to know: is there going to be a second book? Because I really enjoyed it. But you're right; it does end like where I'm like, okay, there's got to be some sort of like continuation of some kind.
Yeah, sadly, I'm still waiting for the characters to tell me exactly where we're going. But I think by the time I'm getting close to finishing, speaking about not going down the most well-worn path, I'm now currently working on an end of the world book.
Oh,
an apocalyptic book. I know. Nobody expected that one from me.
I'm really shocked by that. I would not have. That's not, if you would have gave me some guesses, I wouldn't have gone there. No.
I'm a huge fan of end of the world books, EMP, zombies, Virus,
Okay.
well, not viruses so much anymore. But I've just always loved it. It sort of goes back to the cozies too, but I've always just loved the idea of a fresh start where everything is wiped clean. And that happens with a lot of cozies, mysteries. Usually you meet the heroine when they're starting over or getting some kind of fresh start. And I've just always been fascinated with the idea of how would that work? Where if it was a truly fresh start, like, things are gone.
Wow.
So I'm just finishing the second draft of that book, and then I need to do a final polish on it, and then I'll start on the next charm book.
Gotcha. Real quick, we've had some people that want to say hello, so I'm just going to pull them up because I know you can't see the comments. So Cozy Reads Mysteries says hello. She is another Cozy Mystery booktuber. She started around the beginning of March, and she is just doing awesome, and her channel is wonderful. Hello, Cozy. Hello, Kay. Kay is my mother-in-law, so everybody watch what you say. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, Cozy. That's funny.
Hello, Cheryl. Cheryl is like the queen of cozy reader mysteries. Like, she needs a title. I think she's read like 900 cozies.
Oh my goodness.
Like, seriously. And Cozy Reads Mysteries is like up to almost 600. And I'm like, holy macanoli, that's incredible.
Well, the shorter ones you can read, if you have time, you can read a couple even in a day. Back in the day before I was writing so much or taking care of my mother as much as I am now, I could read a book a day easy.
That's going to be my next question. I think she's laughing about when you were talking about the principal worried about about what you had to say about him in the Stumble River, which is one of my favorite series. I read it quite a bit ago, at least the older ones, like the first ones.
The first one came out 21 years ago, so it's a very long going series. I think the one that's coming out in July will be, let's see, 2020 will be the 23rd in that series.
Yeah. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, Kay said I'm from Illinois, so looking forward to checking this series out. Yes.
Oh, yes. You'll recognize a lot of the area, I'm sure.
Oh, I lost my spot. Oh. Cozy said that's awesome that you continued the series for the readers, talking about the dime store series. I'm excited to read.
I've always loved the dime store books, but at the time when the publisher didn't think they were doing well enough, I didn't have a choice. But now that self-publishing is so much easier, and my husband's retired, he was a software engineer, so he's taken over doing all the formatting and
nice.
Get up on the platforms and getting all of that done for me. So because before I'd have to hire someone, and you wouldn't know if the book would sell well enough for that, because you already have to pay for editing and the cover. So once he retired and said he was willing to learn to do that, it really opened up a lot for me. I wanted to write the paranormal one for quite a while. I had about 100 pages written for probably 5 years. But my agent thought it would weaken my brand, and and wouldn't sell it, or wouldn't try to sell it, I should say. So when she and I parted ways, and I decided I would dip my toe more into self-publishing, I was really excited to get that one out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad that you're choosing to do that, and that's so convenient that your husband, is able to.
I know. It was almost like I had a plan when I got married.
Exactly. Cozy, she said, I'm excited to read the paranormal one. I read the Call to Charms just not too long ago, and I love culinaries. I love older characters. There's she obviously, without too much weight, she inherits a candy shop from a relative, and she discovers, like she said, magical. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Well, yeah.
So good. I really, really liked it. Hello, Jessica. Lady Lovestead reads. Hello, Jessica. Lisa K.
Oh, hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
I know, finally.
Yeah. Oh, Cheryl said, give me those zombies. She's excited about the Apocalypse series.
Okay, let me ask you, Cheryl. I'm struggling with the title for this book. What do you think? Right now, I'm calling it Time of Reckoning. Would that make it sound enough of the end of the world, or does it sound like too much women's fiction and they think they're getting a love story? There is a little bit of love in there, but that's not the main focus.
That's an interesting question.
For those of you who have read my book know there's always romance.
Time of Reckoning.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. Usually, as I said, I have titles way before I have stories even, but I just can't come up with something gripping for this one. So, and I'm running out of time because I'm going to be done writing it soon and still not have time.
And if it went into the stores today, do you think it would be in the fantasy section?
I think it they do have a section now, or most of, at least electronically, dystopian and apocalyptic, and that's where it's more that than dark fantasy.
Okay.
Because it's there's nothing really magical about it except for the zombies. So
Gotcha. I think a lot of people
have a logical reason for the zombies, and I'm pretty excited because I read tons of zombie books, and I think this is a unique take on how they become zombies. So
cool. I think everybody will be thrilled because the most popular meme when the virus first started is that I always saw was I was hoping the end of the world would be zombies. This sucks, or something like that. Instead of the virus, like I was hoping, so.
Yeah, I was way more prepared for zombies.
I think, yeah.
Even in EMP, I was pretty prepared, but not so much pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Romance Queen of BookTube, Kim, hello.
Hi.
Oh, Lady Lovestead, Jessica said, I am obsessed with fresh starts. Awesome.
Do you write romance, lady?
Lisa K saying hello to everybody. Hi, Cozy. I don't know what for, but you're welcome. Oh, I just hit 603, she said, for Cozy's read. Cozy Mysteries read. Yes. I've heard great things about Oh gosh, I love the Scumble River series.
Well, that was going strong. I have no plans to end that one.
And if I'm not mixing up series, and I might be thinking of a totally different, the Chef to Go with Danny, in there, like at least references to characters.
Yeah, there are crossover characters.
Okay.
What happened with the Scumble River is I had this pair that started out as teenagers that she worked with in the schools since she was a school psychologist, and they became her friends, and I wanted to keep them around, but they sort of aged out of the series because they went away to college, and I didn't know, how to get them back to Scumble River, since there's not a lot of opportunities there, for college graduates. So when I decided to set Chef to Go in a college town, I thought, here we go. It's a little bigger situation. They're finished with college now. So Franny is a reporter, and Justin, her now fiance, because I got engaged in the last book, is like an IT guy. So got them both jobs and moved them to Bloomington Normal, or Normalton as I call it, and was able to continue them. And that way I can cross series, characters over is pretty easy through those two.
I thought so, but sometimes my brain plays tricks on me, especially And again, Scumble I read, quite a while ago, at least the first few.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is sometimes, especially if I read more than one books at once, I'll that's why I try not to, because I will transpose characters. I'm like, why did that cozy mystery character just do this? And then I'm like, oh, because that's not, yeah. So, but I thought so. I really like when series do that. So I wanted to say that because I like when you see little nuggets or like storylines that cross over. I just think that's so creative.
Well, even in all my books, if you look hard enough, you'll see a little reference to one or the other series, or somebody will be mentioned. In the Deborahs Dime Store series, she talks about her friend Sky, who's a school psychologist. She never actually, is on the page, but she'll think, "Oh, that kid needs to see." So yeah, if you read carefully enough, and you are reading all the series, which I know is a lot, but you'll see little references. And I've even slipped a little couple of things in the End of the World book.
Oh, nice. Way to go, cozy. Thanks, Lisa. I've read the first Danny Sloan series, so The Chef to Go. Awesome. Sounds awesome. Time for Reckoning sounds good to me. From Cozy. Cheryl said, I like that title. Just put some zombies on the cover.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Put some zombies on the cover embracing, because then you're totally covered both bases.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
Oh, actually, I have a really cool cover plan for that one. My husband's a bit of an amateur photographer. And he, as I said, we live in a very rural area, and he goes for long walks and bicycle rides because he's not allergic to everything like I am. So I'm sort of stuck on the treadmill, because if I go outside, you can bet some leaf or bug will cause a problem. But he took this really cool picture of I think it was a caution sign, some roadside side that was sort of half leaning over and had a vine growing out of the pole over the top. And I thought it looked so much like the end of the world. Something happened and the world is growing over. So I'm going to use that for my part of that anyway for my cover.
That's awesome. Well, and then you put trees in the background, and you have two zombies embracing.
Yeah. There you go.
That you can see through the trees in the background of your sign. I think we just created a cover. I'm just saying.
So.
I'm just kidding. Yes, just don't make the cover romantic. Oh, cozy. You just blew my zombie embrace. I agree with Cheryl. I think the title works if you include zombies in context on the cover. I agree. From cozies to zombies, that's a jump. It must have been fun for you to think of. I recently read John Grisham called The Reckoning. Okay,
well, good. Maybe somebody will confuse it. And
I read romance and mysteries. I write contemporary. My name is Levin Homestead, hence Lovestead.
Oh, very, very cute. Well, as I was saying, just because my mind flips everywhere because it never turns off, as my inability to sleep will tell you, I also have written 6 contemporary romances. I have a completed series called Change of Heart. And I have 2 in a series that's still open that I'm hoping to write 2 or 3 more in. But the romances have not, I will be frank, have not done as well, have not sold as well. I just can't find the readers, I guess, for romance that I have in the mysteries. So I've had to push those sort of aside.
I was going to ask you, so do you write those under the same name?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The first one in the Change of Heart series is called Good Girl Overboard and set on a cruise ship.
Oh, okay.
And the first one in the Delicious Love series is called Sinfully Delicious.
Oh, cute. I like that.
It's about a chef.
Okay. Do you write under any pen names?
No.
Okay.
That was one of the things when I started writing different things that, again, my agent really pushed me to do. She said, if you're going to write something other than cozy mysteries, you don't want to dilute your brand, blah, blah, blah. But I had seen so many of my friends just try to juggle pen names that I just said, to heck with it. It's all going to be under one name, because then I don't have to have different websites, different Facebook things, different everything. And so, yeah, Denise Swanson is my maiden name. When I first got published, my first publishing contract, the editor called me after she bought the book, and we were chatting, and she said, would you, be open to using a different last name? And I said, why? And she said, because nobody's going to be able to spell your last name correctly. And it's going to cause a problem when they do searches on Amazon and other places to find your books. And I said, well, my maiden name is Swanson. And she's like, perfect. Everybody can spell Swanson because of the TV dinners.
Yeah, true. Do you read a lot of cozies?
Not as much as I used to. I'm so afraid of stealing an idea or inadvertently plagiarizing somebody else's book. And anymore, I read my friends, their books when they come out. And for newer authors, I've had several ask me to read for a cover quote, and I will do that. But it has to be during a time where I'm not writing a cozy. So like now, since I'm working on the End of the World book, I am reading more in the cozy and romance area, and not as much in the End of the World like I usually was, because I don't want to steal anything from them.
Gotcha. Yeah, the other thing that I always see is you do the Mystery Kitchen too, right? You put recipes up for the Mystery Kitchen?
Mystery Lover's Kitchen. Yeah, I blog there a couple times a month.
Yeah, because your guys' recipes always sound so amazing. I mean,
my sort of thing is, and this happened again when my husband retired and we moved out of the suburbs and back into the country, and we both had more time, is and he agreed to be my sous chef, because I hate all the chopping and stuff. And as an engineer, believe me, every piece is uniform. There are no rogue onion pieces.
That's what you need, man. He's really what a partner.
Yeah, and good looking, and I mean, you can't really beat it.
You can't.
So anyway, so my thing for the recipes that I post for Mystery Lover's Kitchen is they need to be, first of all, tasty, because nobody wants to eat, dull food. Second of all, they need to be healthy, because we're both trying to eat a lot healthier. Not necessarily lose weight, although that would be lovely, but more just eat food that's better for us. And quick. Most of my recipes that I post shouldn't take longer than 30 minutes. That's sort of my goal. So a lot of my blog mates do more of the desserts and things like that. Mine are almost all for family meals, or a lot of Saturday date night kind of meals.
They look so good. And if you guys don't know, it's Mystery Kitchen. I don't know. I get the email every couple of days. I sign up. It's Mystery Kitchen. Is it just .com, or am I missing something?
Yeah, Mystery Lover's Kitchen.
Mystery Lover's Kitchen. Okay, like I said, I'm signed up for the email, so I get them and I, see the recipes. But if you guys don't know, that has like Denise obviously said she writes a couple times, but there's like 12 or 14, 15 authors on there. Lucy Burdett and I'm trying to
Cleo
Coyle.
Yeah, and
I'm blanking out because Leslie Budowitz.
Yes.
I mean, there's just a ton.
Yeah, we've had, and we've also, if you go back, it's a pretty intensive blog to keep up. So we do tend to add new members as other ones sort of run out of recipes to try or new things to try. So, and you can find, there on the side, I'm not as good with the computer, but there's a list, and like, say you're looking for a chocolate cake recipe. You can just look, under the C's and find that kind of recipe pretty easy. And, they're taste tested. There's pictures, so you can see how it should progress. I don't know, I think it was Krista Davis maybe who started it, but very, very smart the way they put it together.
It is. And I always love when I have a new email because like I said, I've signed up for that. So it just goes right into, obviously into my email account and I can open it. I really enjoy it. Daryl Wood Gerber. I'm trying to think of, there's a ton of people on there. I'm missing half the authors, so I'm sorry. But I just can't think of them right now, but it's great.
Yeah. And there's a lot of new ones. So, which I think is good. I think it keeps the blog fresh. We sort of, do our stint, and then when we run out of recipes, drop out and new people come on. And we also have a guest usually every Sunday. So that, maybe a newbie, because we try to get some of the newer authors to guest. And lots of giveaways. Sunday, there's always a giveaway, and usually a couple other times during the week. So
yeah, it's a great site. So I know we got off track because I started thinking about that website, because I always particularly love your recipes, because I'm a cook, and although I like to bake, I don't really have time for that. So I'm cooking for practicality. So I like the family dinners kind of stuff that you're usually putting on.
I usually do the one pot meals or the casseroles so that you'll have leftovers. I see Cheryl has her zombie weapon picked up.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that too. But so
I have a sharp shovel that I have my eye on in my garage.
You're reading Cozy Mysteries now because you're writing something else. And I think that's smart to kind of stay away from what you're reading when you're also writing. But when you read Cozy Mysteries, are you hard to fool? Like, do you pretty much figure it out? Do we not want to watch TV with you, Denise? Like, are you going
to? For reading the Cozy Mysteries, I don't read with a critical eye at all. See, I know a lot of people do. I'm the one that, my friend will go, oh, that book, it had so many typos, so many errors. And I'm like, oh, I didn't notice any of that. As long as the story is good. That's why I can't do my own proofreading at all. I don't even see them. They're not there. So I usually, unless it's really, really obvious, don't even try to solve the mystery when I'm reading the Cozy Mystery. Now, movies and TV, you don't want to be with me. I'd probably drive my husband crazy. I see every continuity error. I see every too stupid to live moment. I always know what's going to happen, before it happens. It's very hard to fool me in TV or movies. And I hate that they, authors go through such incredible editing, especially typically, traditionally published. We go through a content editor, a copy editor, a production editor. Usually the editor's assistant, has their 2 cents in there, plus, our beta readers and all of that. And I see TV and I'm like, how could they get away with this? This is so stupid.
I think I'm like you. Maybe that's why I never figure out the killers, like ever. And I always just thought it was, just because I'm not good at it. But, maybe it's just that I don't really read with a sense of urgency to try to figure it out, because in Cozy's, and the reason, although obviously you're reading it for the mystery, I don't read it firsthand for the mystery, or that's not the number. I'm much more a character driven, settings driven. Like, I like the everyday details. I like to figure out what, is going to happen with a wedding coming up. Cause like they're planning a wedding in one of your books. And I don't know. I like that sort of like, okay, what's going on in the town this time? What animal has gotten loose? And,
Yeah.
just,
yeah, I like to read for the relationships, and part
Yeah.
of it probably is being a psychologist, but I want it to be just a bunch of my friends, over for drinks and we're hearing a story. So yeah. Oh, so Cozy, you are ready for the apocalypse as well?
Yeah. They're actually making plans. They're like Zooms. What are those called? What's that
Preppers.
show called?
Doomsday
Prepper.
Yeah. Well, ooh.
Zombie Star, the Carnival. I don't know if you're saying that, because I keep saying, I don't know if this is someone saying that, because I keep saying I'm looking for somebody. And I don't care who it is. So if you take the idea and run with it, I'm just going to get somebody eventually. I want somebody to write a cozy mystery that either takes place in a traveling carnival or an amusement park. There are so many ways for people to get killed. First of all, I really want to be a victim, and I just want to be killed on the tunnel of love. Like, people are like, oh, look at Tiffany and her husband, aren't they sweet? And then I come out and, sorry, Kay, I'm just kidding. I know that my mother-in-law's here, just for fun. I think it would be fun to,
I'm surprised there isn't, truthfully. I wonder if there isn't something out there, because I have thought about that. My first book starts at a festival, which is, in the same ballpark as that.
Right.
So yeah, and I don't know if any of you have seen Zombieland, the movie, that ends up at a amusement park. So I'd be surprised if there is not a cozy out there set either with a carnival setting or an amusement park setting. I know the amusement park is very tricky because Disney is so happy. So you can't have any resemblance to Disney in any way, shape, or form. They will go after you.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, she's talking about your husband's photo.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I see a question. When I first started, this is about outlining, or how do I keep track of everything. My very first books, I did extensive outlines. I mean, I probably had 30, 40 page outlines. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I had all the chapters figured out. I had everything figured out. And then around book maybe 5 or 6, I realized that not only wasn't I sticking to the outlines a lot of the times, I was sort of discarding good ideas because they didn't fit the outline. So I went to a very condensed version of sort of more organizational outline that actually, I was a school psychologist at a middle school at that time, and I was very friendly with the English teachers, and one of the ways they were teaching creative writing to their students was, it looked like this giant spider web, and sort of the middle of the web was like the important event that started the story, which for me would be the murder. And then each stock of the web had, setting and suspects and main character. And so that's what I use now. And
nice.
Yeah, a lot quicker. And I keep track of everything sort of the old fashioned way. I do I have a 3-ring binder that I use, and recipe cards in a recipe box. That's for the characters. So cool. Each series has its own recipe box.
So you're like a half pantser. You're
yeah. Yeah, I need to know who gets killed, who kills them, and why they're going to be dead. But that's about it before I start.
Cozy said, do you write only one book at a time?
Yes and no. My process, I do a three-step process. One is a first draft, which is almost like a outline on steroids. I mean, it's the complete book. It's usually 50, 60,000 words, but it's very rough. I don't fix things in the first draft. I just get the story out as fast as I can before I forget it. At my age, I'm starting to forget things, and I'm afraid I'm going to forget something important. So I just write the first draft as fast as I can. And while I'm doing that, that's all I'm doing. But once I get into the second draft where I'm fixing things or adding things, sometimes I will be editing another manuscript or working on galleys or something like that. But I do, the main thrust of a book is one at a time.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, do you do still any with COVID, it's all stopped, but do you take part in any of the conventions like Malice and some of those things that are going on each year?
I have been to Malice quite a bit. I've gone to a few BoucherCons, although BoucherCon is not cozy friendly. It's definitely an old boys club, and if you go, be prepared to be hit on quite a bit.
Okay.
I don't find it a real safe environment. I've had to sort of hide out and call my husband a couple times to come from the hotel and pick me up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's just too much testosterone in that conference. Yeah, and as you can see, it's not like I'm Barbie. So it's not a great. It hasn't been a great experience for me. It has for others. I like a lot of the smaller conferences. I did. Oh gosh, my mind is blanking. Barbara Vay. I don't know how many of you have heard of her, but she used to do these fabulous weekend conference with luncheons where you lunched with the reader. You had your own table and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing one next year called Keep Your Motor Running, which is going to be in Wisconsin. And that's mostly romance writers, but some mystery as well.
Okay.
And, I used to do a lot of touring. I was a part of the Deadly Divas, where so we did a lot of bookstores and libraries and book clubs and stuff like that. I really, even before COVID, I had cut back quite a bit. My mom's 93 and she's very independent. She's in great health. She lives by herself, but things deteriorate if I'm not within calling, if I'm not within 10, 15 minutes of
sure.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. That Keep Your Motor Running. That's a cute title.
It's being held at a car museum. So they're encouraging everybody to bring their husbands and sort of make it a fun weekend, for couples.
Yeah, that's really cool. I do think that's one thing that that sounds like it's going to be more in person, but I do think it's interesting the way COVID has changed some things that otherwise people wouldn't be able to take part in. They are doing some of the conventions this year virtually.
Right.
And I think it's really interesting because people that wouldn't be able to go may be able to obviously go in a virtual type setting where they don't have to travel for it and all of it,
right. And you don't have the expense.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible how many authors and you were talking about that. I can't imagine juggling all those pen names that some of the authors have.
Well, some of the authors.
Sorry, I
the beheading.
I'm sorry.
Some of the authors are given no choice about the pen name. In the cozy field, you have 3 to 5 books for the series to catch on. If it doesn't catch on and you don't already have a pretty strong name, the publishers, if they offer you another contract, part of that is they will require you to take a different name so they can push you as a debut author. And part of it is some of the books, I don't know how much this is still going on because I've really been stepping back from the traditionally published area quite a bit. But some of the series, you might be surprised, are books for hire. So the publisher owns the series and hires the author and will give the author a Bible to come in and write it.
Oh.
I don't know. Have you read, what's her name? The Booktown series, Bartlett, I think her last name is.
Lorna?
Yeah, that's a Write for Hire series.
Oh, I didn't even know that they did that. That's really interesting.
I don't know. It might be a big secret, but I've never been one for keeping big secrets. So.
Well, we won't tell.
Yeah. Well, I think it's silly, and I think that's how the traditional publishers sort of control their authors, is by keeping everything a big series. So.
That's, you know what? I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
That's usually when you have that control, it's because, there's something that's, being held. Yep. Cheryl said, nice to know about Mystery Lover's Kitchen. Good. I'm glad. I read for enjoyment. Yeah, I'm not critical either.
No.
That's how my husband is with movies. Oh, goodness. Cozy, I'm sorry. The Zombieland movie is awesome.
Yeah, I haven't read or seen the next one. Yes. Zombieland is one of the best zombie movies ever. I like the one too that I can't think of the name of it, but it took place in a mostly in a shopping mall. Day of the Dead or something like that. But yeah, most of the zombie movies I'm very critical of.
Yeah. I love Midsummer Murders. I love that show. There's so many of them. I haven't seen any like that, but I really enjoy that show. Oh,
that's where I've heard of it. Okay, it's a PBS show, right?
Yeah, and it's a BBC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to sign up for BritBox.
Yeah, well, and the thing with that show is it's and a lot of the British shows do this, that like it's their TV shows are like movies. Their TV like one episode is almost a full length movie. And so it's Do you write on paper first and type later, or type it from the beginning?
I type from the beginning. The only thing that's on paper are my my outline and my notes.
Cheryl said, where in Wisconsin? It's she's from Wisconsin.
Oh gosh. It'll come to me. It's one of the big cities.
Milwaukee.
No, Milwaukee.
I'm out.
Milwaukee was where the Barbara Vay one was. It might be Green Bay.
Oh, I should have said, yeah.
I truly can't remember, but there is on Facebook, if you type in "get your motor running" "get your motor running," there's a page, so you can go and look at that.
Cool. And I will put in, so like an hour after the live, I can add things, because like you're in the description, your information's in there now with your website, but I will add the Mystery Lover's Kitchen because I forgot about it until we were talking. And I'll also add the Get Your Motor Running, guys. I'll put a link to that in there.
Well, and if any of you are interested, although I do have an author page on Facebook, the best place to hang out with me would be my group, which is called Denise Swanson's Mysteries, Romances, and More.
And that's Facebook?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know that, because Facebook doesn't like me, so I'm not allowed to have an account.
Oh, no.
I don't know why. I had an account, no joke. I seriously had one account about 20 years ago when Facebook was fairly new. I never once wrote on it, not even a hello, nothing. And decided, I'm also in social services like you, and I just decided that I didn't want my clients to be able to look me up, because they would, and I didn't want to mess with that. So I immediately took it down. I tried to, when I started my book channel, to make a Facebook page, and it kept saying that my account had been terminated and had been locked because of violations and all this stuff. I even created a new account with my maiden name, put in a different email. It worked for 2 weeks, and then it locked me and it said violation again. And so I don't know what they think I did, but I'm like, seriously? You think I did something 15 years ago? We had never mind. But I don't know what they think I did, but it must be pretty bad. Anyways, that's just funny. So I never know what's going on at Facebook, but I can, Denise, if you think about it and you email me the name again or type it in the chat.
Sure.
I can add that as well, your Facebook one. Any advice?
I'll email you a link because
okay.
that's easier, yeah.
Yep, I'll absolutely put that in there. Jessica said, any advice for someone who wants to get in the industry?
I guess it depends what you want to do. You know, and I don't even know if this is true anymore because I started so long ago. But at the time I started, our only option was being traditionally published. You know, self-publishing was really vanity press at that time, and it wasn't worthwhile. But now, you know, there are so many options. If if you would like to try and go the traditional route, most of the publishers still require an agent. So your first step is to query agents, which is a lot easier now because most of them take e-queries, and it's just a lot easier than when we had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope and and mail manuscripts back and forth and all of that. But so if you're interested in that, start querying agents and find an agent, because most of the publishers aren't really going to look at your material. They'll go directly into the wastebasket or trash can or whatever. There are a couple that still do, but mainly they still do because their contracts are so awful for the author. They don't want agents to be looking at them. I've been a little negative with the agent situation here, but I will say you need an agent if you're going to, go into a contract, because they will find all the gotchas and make sure that that you're getting a fair price, and just little things you don't even know to ask for. Like, most authors get 40 or 50 copies of their book to give away, and or get 10, probably about 10, maybe more. My agent immediately asked for 40, which we always got, and they're really good for negotiating what you want. Backing up a little, my biggest advice is, before you even worry about getting into the industry, have a finished book. Make sure it's the best you can do. You've written it, you've polished it, you've had someone with a good eye proof it for you, and so you're ready that when an agent or an editor says, "Let me see it," you send it right away. I cannot tell you, when I used to go to these conferences, they usually had agent-editor appointments. And a lot of times, the published authors would be sitting around with the agents and editors, at dinners and things. And I cannot tell you how many agents and editors have said, I had a really good interview or appointment with an author. I'm interested in the book. I hope they actually send it. And I'm like, what? And a good 60% of the people that they tell them to send material aren't really done with the book like they said they were. And so they can't send it. Mm-hmm. And by the time they've sent it, the agent or the editor have forgotten about them, or the trend is gone, or whatever. So, don't fib, have it done and have it ready to go.
Interesting. I did not realize all that goes into writing besides the actual writing of the book, like how many people and hands are involved in it, and the like process of getting a cover. And like a lot of times people are telling me like, I didn't really get to pick my title. I maybe had some, say in it, but not, and I'm like, I would have never have like realized any of that stuff. I'm really,
that's the other good part with a good agent is, I always retain cover approval. I always retain title approval. And that was something my agent was able to negotiate. But if you don't know you need to do that, nobody's going to tell you.
Right, right.
And I see Cozy Reads Mystery is talking about supporting the Kindle Unlimited authors, which is great. But there are a lot of independently authors who aren't traditionally published, who aren't on Kindle Unlimited, who are just, in Amazon. My independently published books are on Amazon, Nook, Kobo, and something else. There's 4. So, because Kindle Unlimited is not super fair to authors. You don't. You only get paid for what they claim has been read of the book. So, if you get one, put it on your Kindle and don't get to it, for 2 years, the author hasn't been paid a cent for that book.
Oh, okay.
So, and they pay by page.
So like page read.
Yes. Yeah. So Kindle Unlimited, the way it is now, would not, I wouldn't be interested in doing that, but I do have a lot of independently published books out there. And you can tell usually if they're indie published, even in the regular Amazon, just by the pricing. My traditionally published books, you're always going to pay $7-8 for the ebook unless it's a sale, and $8 or $9 for the paperback. I just put out the dime store book, Fly Me to the Tomb, and I've got the Kindle for $4.99, the ebook for $4.99, Kindle, Nook, Kobo, and the paperback for $7.99, which don't have a lot of wiggle room with the paperback because there is such a cost involved. But you can usually tell if it's an indie published book by the price of the ebook.
Yeah. So is like the dime store book that you just released last week, is that going to be on like platforms like Libby or Overdrive or Hoopla or anything like that?
I'm not real familiar with those, and I think I'll probably be just sticking to the the Kobo,
Gotcha.
Nook, Amazon. Maybe later on, if I continue to do a lot more self-publishing, right now I'm sort of dabbling in it. We'll look into that some more.
Those are all like library e-services, but through a library. Cool. Well, yeah. See, and I wouldn't have known a lot of what you're talking about today is new to me. That's interesting. Oh,
just call me the whistleblower.
Cozy said that Dawn of the
Dead. That's one. I love that one.
Cheryl came along saying, "Yep, yeah. Same thing." Newer version takes place in a mall in Milwaukee.
Yes. I think that's the one I'm talking about. It's got maybe The Rock is the main character in the head guy, but I can't remember.
So Cozy asks, but if we read the book, the author gets paid. She's talking about Kindle Unlimited.
Yes, if they do get paid per page, not as much, but yes, they will get something.
Interesting. So I always ask this: if you were murdered, I know it gets very dark. If you were murdered, what detective would you want on your case? Written or TV detective? Past, present?
It's a hard one. trying to think. It would have to be somebody, since I'm in a small town, so the city detectives probably wouldn't do too well out here. Maybe Charlene Harris's Aurora Tea Garden.
Oh, okay. Okay. So interesting. I always say Columbo. I just like that Columbo was like on it, but everybody thought he was a goof. And
Yeah,
always had everybody fooled. And they would always brag, oh yeah, this detective doesn't know what they, and I don't know, there's something about that for me. But you brought up Aurora Tea Garden, which has, of course, some Hallmark movies that have been made from that, which is another question I always ask. In any of your series, if Hallmark called you up and said, we really want to make Sky or the Scumble River into a Hallmark series, we think it'd be great. Do you have any ideas of who you'd want to like play that your main characters in any of your series? It doesn't have to be Scumble River. I'm just,
I'm sort of sorry you're not on Facebook, because I do in my
I'm sorry too, I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah, maybe you have to come on as your husband. In my group, I once a year I'll do a whole month of pictures of how I picture my characters.
Oh, that's so cool.
Sometimes they are, movie stars. A lot of times they aren't. It's hard for me because all of my, or the vast majority of my main character, the leads, the female leads, are plus size. And there's not a lot of plus size movie stars, TV stars to choose from. So I
who have you said you normally do it. Now I'm really interested. Who have you thought about?
I can't even remember offhand what I do before. I'll take a good chunk of time, and I'll just start looking and figure out what to post. There's one, gosh, I can't think of her name, but there's one TV movie star that does remind me of Sky a little bit. She's got reddish hair and more curvy. I also always liked Melissa McCarthy, but
somebody just said that, and I thought that, yeah,
she's getting a little older because she's aging and Sky isn't. So.
Yeah,
but I just like her in general.
Well, and I was thinking, what is her name? Rebel Wilson.
Oh, I love Rebel.
But Rebel Wilson's lost quite a bit of weight recently, like a lot.
Yeah, she's still pretty curvy though. The last one I saw. I mean, I think she would still be would still be great. Yeah,
but she might be I
love her in the Pitch Perfect movies.
Yeah,
and a couple other things I've seen her in. Yeah,
that would be really fun. I keep, a lot of authors are like, I don't know, I've never thought about it. I'm like, they're turning everything into a Hallmark movie. You need to be prepared.
I'm pretty good friends with Charlene Harris personally.
Yeah.
And she has shared that she really has very little say about casting or even what direction, like from True Blood, what direction they're going to go to. That's the problem with signing a contract with the TV or movies, is that nobody can negotiate that usually unless you're like, James Patterson or something. So you are signing away all those rights. The only reason I would allow a movie to be made or love a movie to be made is my mom really, really she loves Hallmark. She watches it every day, all day, both channels. So, she's always like, why can't you get your books in there?
That's funny. It's funny that you say that too, because I kind of have in the last probably 4 to 5 years, I've really just been reading romance and cozy mysteries and not much else. But I used to read a lot of women's literature before that, along with the other ones. And not that I don't like it anymore. There's so many cozies and romances I want to read. I just don't have time. But one of my favorite authors was Jodi Picoult.
Oh, yeah. And
I went to a book signing of hers actually when I still lived in Illinois, up in Downers Grove. And she did a speech, and it was right after she wrote, I don't know, Sing You Home, I think. And My Sister Keeper had been released years before that, but she was giving her speech, and then she was going to take questions. And there was probably 75 people there, and there were probably 50 hands raised. And she said, okay, before I start answering questions, if you're going to ask me about the My Sister's Keeper movie and how they changed everything in it, I'm just going to say this, and then we're going to move on. It's kind of like when you give a baby up for adoption or something like this. Once you've signed, you don't get to follow it along and have any say in the matter. And about 30% of the hands just went down. But I thought, you know what? That's an interesting, it
is interesting. I have not watched many of the Hallmark movies unless I'm sitting with my mom who's watching them. And, it is disconcerting. I mean, if you've read the books and they're completely wrong. Okay.
Yeah. And I haven't read the Aurora Tea Garden, but it's the same and somebody mentioned this in the Hannah Swanson series. I've read all of those, and that of course is a Hallmark. And my mother is also a big Hallmark fan, like you're talking about, and she hasn't read any of those, and she'll talk about them. And to me, they're a lot different from the books, just in how they describe Hannah to what Allison Sweeney looks like. And the other thing is Mike and Norman, I feel, are a lot different than what I had pictured in my mind, and a lot of kind of things. So, Cozy said, so you said Scumble has been going for over 20 years, but how much time has passed in this series?
For the first 19 books, not much time. I in fact had to start adding something in the front of the book saying, time in Scumble River is different than time in the real world. And, probably about 4 years had passed in 19 years. But when I started the Welcome Back to Scumble River series, which is really just a continuation, but the new publisher wanted something new to work with, I was sort of getting tired of having to juggle the timeline like that. So I just brought everything up to date, and now we're in real time. Although I am not going to write about the pandemic.
Good.
I will be putting a little disclaimer in the front of books. Nobody's wearing masks. Nobody's social distancing. We're not talking about COVID. In my fantasy world, it never happened.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm with you.
I love writing end of the world books, but I would never write one about a pandemic.
No, I agree. I'm happy about that. We have tried to figure out if the Hannah Swanson love triangle has really gone on for 20 years. Or if time, what she's saying is, or if time hasn't really elapsed for that long. Because for us as readers, it's been that long.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, maybe it's in like reverse dog years or something like that, where it's like only 6 months has passed.
Yeah, Joanna Fluke doesn't really socialize with authors. At least I've never met her at any of the conferences. Oh. I've never run across her in other things. So, I don't know her at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just had to start writing like the little disclaimer in the front. So
yeah, no, I like that. Just because like I'm not an apocalyptic person, so I like that, if somebody's going to do that, they're doing it in a genre where it's meant to take place, as opposed to, we're walking around, Normalton in masks. I don't.
No,
No.
not happening. It's hard enough when back a few years ago, in romance, when I was a member of Romance Writers of America. I know a lot of romance writers, and I forget when it's been a while now, but when you have to make clear that everybody has a condom. So you have to stop the love scene or find a way of getting it in there that the hero has put a condom on. And then you have to remember that he's taken it off. Otherwise, he's walking around in a used condom, which is not at all romantic. So, yeah, and I can just see the mask and all that becoming the condom of the mystery world. Yeah. Oh my God, and and I when I was writing the romance, it's like, oh, how many different, what can I call this thing? Rubber, condom.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Protection. That's what I usually use. He done protection.
That's hilarious. Writing about pandemic reminds me of friends. So not to. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, good to know. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
I will be using that reference when people come at me, as I'm sure they will, for not acknowledging it.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even think about in that case. That's interesting. The Sookie Stackhouse books and True Blood TV show, basically the names are the same. But I love them both. Cool.
Yeah. The Sookie Stackhouse books, I love them. I would love them even if Charlene wasn't my friend. But the TV show True Blood was so much darker, and it went to really, really dark places I didn't want to go. So I watched a few episodes, but I didn't continue.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of escape to read cozies. I don't want the pandemic involved. No,
thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. When I dabbled in romance, the phrase was latex armor.
No. No.
Oh my gosh, now that's funny. So, so as far as like coming ahead, you're going to be continuing the Scumble River, right?
Yes.
You're already in the works for that.
Don't have anything going on right now, but it will definitely stay in the rotation.
Okay. And then the Chef to Go, is that expecting more?
Right now, I don't have anything planned for that series. That doesn't mean that I won't eventually go back and write another one, but in the last book I did tie up a lot of the loose ends, so if I ever did, the readers would at least have a fairly happy ending, and couples were together and the father had entered back in the picture and a lot of that stuff. But I very well may write another one. I thought I would never write another dime store book, but clearly I did.
And so the 7th one in the dime store just came out, right? That's what number, it was number 7.
Yes. Fly Me to the Tomb. I don't know how many of you know Heather Blake or Heather Weber. She writes under both. Her daughter is an artist, and she did the cover for Fly Me to the Tomb and A Call for Charms.
Oh, cool. No, I did not know that.
I will definitely be hiring her to do the next charm book too. I love, she's able to continue the series so that it looks all together, that they all they're still that got that similar feel to them.
Yeah, no, I did.
It's a little more expensive to hire an artist versus a graphic designer, but so worth it to have the series have that same look.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Heather Blake, that's the Magic Potion series, right?
Yes. And Heather Weber, Heather's got tons of series out too. She did the Wishcraft, which is probably my favorite. She did the one about the gardener. I can't think of her name. She did the potions.
Okay.
Now she's writing mostly more women's fiction. Southern, she calls it magical Southern women's fiction. It's not as magical as a Charmed book, but there's like the little dash of magic in it,
which is perfect for me.
Yeah.
I'm a dash of magic kind of gal, so that's really awesome.
So yeah, and she's an awesome writer. Probably one of my favorites.
The Magic Potion series, I was so sad it only went 3 books.
She's like me though. She might end up writing more when she gets around to it.
Yeah, I would love that because I love all the characters in that. The Carly Bell Hartwell or whatever, the main character. I absolutely love, and I love her mother. Well, her soon to be mother-in-law, I guess.
Yeah.
And and I listened to the first one I read in a physical, but the last 2 I listened to on audio. And that narrator is amazing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's not always the case. The narrator is.
Not being an audio book person myself, I had no idea how important the narrator was.
Oh.
But when I switched publishers for the Scumble River books, we had a big gap in time. And so when I got another audio publisher, because I had to switch that too, they were not able to get the original narrator for the first 19 books, so they had someone else, and she sounded okay to me. They sent me a sample and then sounded fine. I got so much flack from I would say readers, but listeners, I guess, that they wanted the original one back. So before I signed a contract for the next one coming up, I said, you got to get the original narrator back because I'm not opening 10,000 emails about this again.
Oh my gosh, it really can. So I never used to do audio, but I've been having a lot of visual problems. And so I have a really, really hard time. And I know that, with the ebooks, I used to be able I had moved into that, and that was doing better because I could change the font and all that. But I think it's the backlighting and numerous things and looking at a computer in my job all day. I just can't do it hardly anymore. So I've been doing, and the audio is, I love listening to audio books now, but sometimes I wonder when I don't like a book if it's that, because that plays a huge part in it.
It does. Yeah, it does. And that's the other thing now with Fly Me to the Tomb. I did stick to the original paperback size because since it was part of a series, I knew collectors, they want all the books to look the same and be the same size and all of that. But with the Charm series, as you know, they're a little bigger books, and so the print can be a little bigger as well.
Yeah, so, I'm excited to get another Charm book. Sometimes a cozy mystery trilogy is good as long as the loose ends are. Yes, I know, but sometimes I want them to go longer. Cozy. The Charm, yeah. That's got the raven on it, or a crow, or
yes, okay. Yeah. Raven, because her last name is Ravenscraft. So.
Oh well, duh! I didn't make that connection. I told you I'm not a critical reader.
Yeah, Nina Quinn, that's right. She also did the Lucy books. I can't think of Truly Deadly Madly or something.
Oh like yeah, that. Truly Madly Deadly.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one I was missing.
Yeah. Hi, Blessed. She said, yes, the narrator makes all the difference. Yes. And my biggest thing with the narrators is when they try to do voices that they aren't proficient at. I understand if, particularly when you're trying to convey the opposite gender. So males trying to sound like females, I've said this before and I'm going to stick by it. I can't help it. They just sound like creepy serial killers when they're trying to falsetto, no matter what they're trying to say. And it's creepy. It's creepy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, I have never even listened to one of my books all the way through on audio. I'm gonna have to do that. I could do it on the treadmill. I should borrow my husband's MP3 player and do it that way, I guess. But
Yeah.
I am such a visual person and so auditorily distractible that, I don't know if I get much out of a book doing it that way.
Gotcha. And a lot of people that don't care for audio is for the exact reasons that that you said, that, they're not good with staying focused and they miss part of the book, or.
Yeah, my mind. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, squirrel.
Yeah. I often say that about myself too. I said one time, and people are like, did you just refer to yourself as a dog? I said, well, I could say it because I'm talking about me, and I'm just talking about puppies. You know how like they have no train of thought, like you're saying. They're like, oh, leaf, oh, bone. That's kind of how I am sometimes in life in general. So
like the older my mom gets, the harder it is to get her to focus very long on anything. And my husband calls that the pretty light syndrome. We'll be walking and ooh, and I said, if we make it to 93, she has the right to whatever makes her happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is very difficult. Even I just had her at her semi-annual doctor's appointment, and they do, after a certain age, they do memory tests and that. And they're convinced she's lost it, but she's just not interested, and they give her 3 words to remember and she's thinking of something else, and then they walk out and she'll go, oh yeah, I should have said chair banana sunrise. I'm like, yeah, you should have, because now they think you have Alzheimer's. But yeah.
Lucy Valentine, I just did a Cozy Mystery author pen name video and talked about Heather Blake and Heather Weber. Yeah.
Heather was sort of was a victim, like I talked about before, of the publisher making her change her name, and I think she's back to Heather Weber with the magical women's fiction.
Southern fiction.
Yeah.
Fiction. Then when a narrator dies, unfortunately, it can be hit or miss with the replacement.
Oh, yes. I didn't realize. I hadn't even thought of that part.
Yes, because Reese Bowen's Royal Spinous series, the lady that narrates that is amazing, because there's a lot of accents in that book and she nails them. Wow. And she passed away at like number 14. Now I'm on like 9 or 10, so I haven't got to when they switch over, but I'm really concerned of how it's going to go because I'm so attached to this woman and how it sounds now.
Oh yeah.
It might be more about me not being open-minded. So if the police came into your house and had to search your computer or your bookshelves, would we think that you're a mass murderer? Yeah.
Probably perverted, mass murder, I'm just hoping I don't have anything illegal on here. Every once in a while I just Google something and don't even think what it might actually mean, and I now have my computer set to give me like mature audience warning or something, so I don't accidentally stumble into a video or a website I don't want to see.
Right.
I'll have to do a confession for. So.
That's funny because when I was in college, I had to do, I don't know, it was my senior paper. I don't even know what it was, but I did a pretty significant paper on college fraternity and sorority hazings.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even think about it. And when I first started researching it, if you look up just like fraternity hazing as a subject in Google, you are in for it. And I didn't even think about it. And so then I started getting stuff on my computer all the time, like advertisements. It was the most ridiculous and like embarrassing thing. Oh my gosh. So exactly what you're.
Well, I had a similar experience as when I was working as a school psychologist. I had just accepted a little boy for counseling, And we suspected that when I got into it, that I would be getting into that there had been incest involved. And so I'm like, well, I don't really know a lot about that. I wanted to see if there was anything in counseling I should be aiming at. So I Googled it. I had to go to the IT department at the school and say, you need to erase my computer stuff because otherwise I'm going to get arrested,
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't tell me anything that I wanted to know.
Right. Yes. Yes.
A lot of stuff I never wanted to know.
Right. And that'll happen with, being in social services the same way. Because a lot of times, so my job before now, I was working with adolescents. So I was doing family and individual counseling, but they were 12 to 18. And sometimes, they have their own language. I wouldn't even know what they were talking about. I wouldn't even know if they were speaking English. I'm like, and so we'd have to look them up and we'd have to, again, call the IT and we're like, hey, we weren't just messing around on the computer. We needed to look up this term because we didn't know what this kid was. All the time.
Yeah.
Now, not so much because I'm doing CBT with like 6 to 11-year-olds. So it's, but all the time when I was with adolescents, constantly, I'm like, I promise we weren't doing anything.
I know. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And
we didn't want to see anyway. I don't know if
you feel like that or not, but you cannot click out of those things.
I know.
You keep going, out, X, this, and it just comes back.
That's what I mean. I started receiving all.
Finally, I turned the computer off and went to the IT department. I'm like, get me out of here.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I started receiving all sorts of like I said, advertisements and crazy. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. And I'm like, how come when I want to find something, it never works that way or it's never that easy? But I know the same way. So, which series you're working on now? You're working on the apocalyptic. And so you said you only write one at a time. So that's the one you're writing. Is that going to be a series or is that going to be a standalone?
I thought it was a standalone. There might be another one.
It sounds like people are really into it.
An airplane appeared at the end, so was not expecting that. These characters just run amok. What can I tell you?
I love that. You're like, I don't know how it got away from me. I'm like, you wrote it.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that to happen. You wrote it. That's hilarious, actually. I love that. I love that. And, like I said, it sounds like a lot of people are, of course, really into zombies. That's like my husband's really into zombies. He's a Walking Dead fanatic. We had to go visit that place in Georgia, that town in Georgia.
Yeah.
Can't think of where it was. So he's all into it.
I'm just hoping I'll have more success. I know there are a lot of readers out there. There's a ton of readers for romance, but I could never quite connect up with them. I'm hoping I'm going to have a little bit better luck with the zombie readers.
Do you have a hard time turning off your brain for new ideas?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm really trying to cut back on my writing, but they just pop up.
Well, as someone who loves your books, I don't want you to cut back. So I don't feel.
Would you be willing to come to Illinois and take care of my mom?
You know what? I love that population. I love elderly people. I want to hang out with elderly people all the time. So
they are fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So we built the home we're in now and it just was finished in August because we started building in the middle of a pandemic, but we did not know that was going to happen. We put the contract down in January because we moved here in September. Our lease was up in January at our apartment. We put the thing in for January because our house sold in Illinois. And like 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit. It was the craziest experience. Luckily, there was a lot of other people in the world, that happened to. But like we had to postpone our everything multiple times. Finally, the apartment complex who worked with us, they were like, as much as they could, they were so nice, but they're like, we rented it. You got to go. And we're like, oh my God. But we built we're about 3 miles from my grandmother. And I just love being near her. She lives in a retirement community where, I love going down there and visiting with all of them. They're a hoot.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love when authors say the characters start to take over. I know, that's hilarious. I'm reading A Dark and Stormy Murder right now where the character lives with her favorite writer. I would come take care of your mom and live out that story. Exactly. Exactly. That's such a fun series too. So, do you have any of the covers of your books that you want to show or anything like that?
If I was better prepared, I would.
That's okay. You don't have to. I just thought I'd ask you.
Yeah, no, I'm a very poorly prepared.
No, that's perfect. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. So so your next book is when is the apocalyptic one coming out?
Well, that one I'm aiming for the fall. I have a new Scumble River book coming out in July.
Oh,
yes, that one's called Body Over Troubled Water.
Nice.
So nice. It's already up for pre-order everywhere, and the cover is really cool. I love the cover. Which again, if I was prepared, I'd have that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, if you want to come back in July, right before the new Scumble River comes out, I would love to have you.
Yeah. Well, I would love to do that. I'll have the cover, and I'll probably have the cover for the End of the World book, and hopefully a title by then too. But
there
if
you go.
you're listening, have title ideas.
I don't have title ideas, but I'm still rocking I think that the zombies should be in the background embracing. And then you've covered every possible,
possibility. Well, it's been really great chatting with you all. And I guess I'll see you back in July or August when we meet again.
Yes, absolutely. And if you email me that Facebook group name, I will make sure I add that because I'm sure a lot of people will want to find that. I might have to, like you said, find it under somebody else's name because I want to see that too. So thank you all. And thank you, Denise. It was so much fun. I really appreciate you coming on.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.